Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Top 10 on the Golden List of Wudang, Zhang Sanfeng is foolish. In the world of martial arts, *** heroes rise together. Su Li traveled through time and became the little martial uncle of Wudang. Due to the seclusion of the land god Zhang Sanfeng, Wudang was handed over to Su Li for management. A few years later, Zhang Sanfeng passed the level and unexpectedly, the Heavenly Way Golden List suddenly arrived. Inventory the unparalleled figures in the martial arts world. As a result, the 20th to 10th places finished counting all the characters in the martial arts world. Emperor Shutian said, "I can only rank in the 10th place." Zhang Sanfeng said, "After 300 years of understanding the Great Way, can I only rank 11th? 9 Heavenly Empress. What kind of existence are the top 10? Finally, start counting the top 10. 10th place. Song Yuanqiao, the pinnacle of immortality, proud of the world. With me, the distant bridge leads to heaven. 3rd place. Yin Li Pavilion, as soon as I think the flowers bloom. Ruling the world. 2nd place. Song Qingshu, he transforms freely. He will last forever. As soon as the top 10 were released, Zhang Sanfeng was stunned. Surprisingly, all of the top 10 were disciples of Wudang. Did you return him to cultivate immortality? When the first Su Li, who was the supreme immortal, appeared, the entire Jianghu was even more boiling. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Wudang Junior Uncle, Su Li, Gold List. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Dang, the melodious sound of bells resounds among the mountains and valleys. The birds are startled to fly, and the purple glow fills the sky. At dawn, a white fish belly appeared on the horizon. All the disciples of Wudang Mountain have gathered in the square to start their daily morning exercises. At sunrise, when the purple energy comes from the east and the essence is rolling, it is the best time to practice. I'm practicing Tai Chi again, please watch carefully. Tai Chi emphasizes the meaning rather than the form, following one's own desires and originating from the heart. A dignified middle-aged Taoist, facing numerous disciples, slowly practicing Tai Chi. Song Yuanqiao. The leader of Wudang's 7 heroes. Many disciples stared intently as Song Yuanqiao demonstrated Tai Chi. Yuanqiao, this is not how Tai Chi is practiced. At this moment, an old and gentle voice rang out. Song Yuanqiao was taken aback for a moment, and his movement stopped as a result. His eyebrows furrowed slightly, and he looked for the sound. A few tens of zhang away, an old Taoist with a fairy-like demeanor and extraordinary temperament was slowly approaching. This old Taoist has a tall figure, although he is old, he doesn't show any signs of aging. He has white hair and a youthful appearance, and his skin is crystal clear. Between walking, tigers and tigers create a strong wind. With just one step, one can cross several meters. In an instant, he had already paced to the front of everyone. Grandmaster. Grandmaster has passed the level. Pay respects to our ancestor. Seeing this old Taoist, Wudang disciples were instantly shocked and exclaimed in surprise. Then respectfully bowed to the old Taoist. In the eyes of these young disciples, an immense reverence emerged. Just because this Taoist is the founder of Wudang Mountain. Wuli myth, Zhang Sanfeng. Master. Song Yuanqiao was also very excited. Master has been in seclusion for a whole 10 years. Zhang Sanfeng stroked his long beard and glanced at the young disciple before landing on Song Yuanqiao. I have been in seclusion for 10 years as a teacher, and nothing has happened in Wudang Mountain, right? With my junior apprentice stationed, Wudang is safe and sound. Song Yuanqiao arched his hand and said. When mentioning little junior brother, a strong reverence appeared in his eyes. The old Taoist is confused. With Su Li sitting in Wudang, how could something big happen? Zhang Sanfeng seemed to recall something and couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. People in the world only know the reputation of the 7 heroes of Wudang, but they don't know Zhang Sanfeng. The most proud one is this young disciple. Although Su Li is not well known in the martial arts world, a group of Wudang disciples were greatly excited when they heard his name. Su Li, Wudang junior uncle. They have heard a lot about the deeds of this young martial uncle, who is known for his extraordinary abilities. It is rumored that he is young and handsome, with unparalleled charm. Even Chu Liuxiang, a famous thief in the martial arts world, is not even 1 in 10,000. And his cultivation talent is extremely high, he can be called a demon. In this land of Qingshu, the realm of cultivation can be divided from low to high. Quenching body, forging bones, cultivating qi, acquired, innate, master, great master, heaven and man. Each realm is divided into 9 levels. If ordinary people want to cultivate, they must first harden their body, forge bones, and cultivate qi. This is the foundation. It is a necessary path for every practitioner and also of utmost importance. A normal person needs at least 5 months to complete body quenching, 1 year for bone forging, and 3 years for qi cultivation. If you want to truly enter the realm of nurture, it will take at least 4 to 5 years. Those with dull talents need 7 to 8 years, or even about 10 years. If the time can be shortened to 3 years, then they are also young talents. But that junior martial uncle Su Li, it only took half a year to complete this process. Because there are rumors that Su Li entered Wudang at the age of 9 and has not yet been exposed to cultivation, but only half a year later, he has already defeated the person of the day after tomorrow. However, this is not the most outrageous. From the day after tomorrow to the day of birth, there is a 9-fold gap between them. It takes more than 10 years for a normal person to be promoted from postnatal to congenital. And Su Li, it only took 2 years. By the time he was 12 years old, Jin was already able to defeat those born with the same weight. Such a terrifying cultivation talent, led by martial arts myths like Zhang Sanfeng, all exclaimed that it was so terrifying, and once said, "So terrifying." 10 years ago, Zhang Sanfeng chose to practice martial arts in seclusion in order to make a breakthrough. Before seclusion, Wudang was entrusted to Su Li, who was only 17 years old, for management. When recalling these past events, Zhang Sanfeng's face couldn't help but show a strong sense of pride. However, Song Yuanqiao's words brought Zhang Sanfeng back to reality. Master, who has been in seclusion for 10 years, must have successfully entered the realm of land immortals. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Sanfeng shook his head, his gaze somewhat melancholy, and he sighed. Since Emperor Yu opened up the 9 provinces and conquered the land gods, no one has been able to step into this realm for thousands of years. The old Taoist has been practicing for over 100 years, and this time he has only taken a lucky step into seclusion. Zhang Sanfeng placed his hands behind his back and gazed into the distance, letting out a sigh. Above heaven and man, there are land immortals. However, the land immortals have long disappeared from the martial arts world and have not been seen for thousands of years. The remaining half-step is like a heavenly abyss. I wonder who else can step into it and glimpse the land of immortals. Zhang Sanfeng shook his head and sighed. Song Yuanqiao was somewhat surprised, but then he pondered and said, "Master, you can have a discussion with the younger martial brother, perhaps you can have some enlightenment." Discuss with Su Li. Zhang Sanfeng shook his head and smiled. Although Su Li had unparalleled talent, he still had a long way to go compared to this half-step land immortal. Anyway, let's take this opportunity and see how Su Li's cultivation is progressing. 10 years no see, he really wants to see how far his disciple has come. With his talent, it could be innate 9-fold, or it could be grandmaster. Boom boom. Just as Zhang Sanfeng was preparing to visit Su Li, the originally calm and clear sky suddenly thundered and shook, with countless purple lightning bolts falling down. Purple lightning is like a tide, dazzling and dazzling, with a majestic pressure descending from thousands of miles above, making everyone suffocated. It seems like a deity is about to descend upon the world and destroy the entire earth. The creatures of Qingshu and countless people in the martial arts world were all startled by this strange celestial phenomenon, looking up at the sky one after another. "Master, what's going on?" Song Yuanqiao looked towards the sky and frowned. Zhang Sanfeng did not answer, his gaze flickering with solemnity. He lived for over 100 years and had never seen such a strange thing before, so he couldn't provide an explanation. Under countless gazes, the purple electricity, like a tide, gradually converged and turned into a purple aura that filled the sky. Purple air surged and permeated, revealing a huge scroll in the eyes of the world. The scroll stretches across the sky, and 10,000 zhang of golden light bursts out, illuminating the land of the 9 provinces. After a moment, lines of large characters slowly appeared on the scroll. Qingshu's ultimate ranking on the land of Qingshu, dragons and snakes rise and land, with countless heroes and unparalleled strength. The Heavenly Way has a spirit, make this list. This list only lists the top 30. Anyone who makes it will receive a reward from the Heavenly Way. Chapter 2. Asia the Invincible. Ranked 30th. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Asia the Invincible. Ranked 30th. Daqin. Xianyang Palace. In the solemn palace, all the palace maids held their breath. Qin Emperor Yingzheng knelt on the felt and flipped through the memorial. He was dressed in a black imperial robe embroidered with a golden dragon, and time had dyed his temples gray-white, but his dignity continued to grow. Roaming and rumbling, a raging thunder suddenly rang out. Yingzheng looked up, his sharp gaze like cold electricity, making people shudder. The sky was filled with purple lightning, and the subsequent appearance of scrolls left him stunned. Is there an elixir for immortality in the Heavenly Way reward? As Yingzheng looked at the words, Heavenly-Due reward, a fervent expression appeared on his face. He worked tirelessly for the remaining 6 generations, implementing the long strategy in unifying the 6 states with the universe, establishing the foundation of the Great Qin for eternity. What we are seeking now is immortality. For this reason, he specially ordered the alchemist Su Fu to refine elixirs and even set sail to search for immortals. But there has been no news for a while. But the unparalleled list of Heavenly-Due in front of him showed him hope. Zhao Gao, pay attention to those who are on the list at the moment of loneliness. If there are things that can prolong life, take them down at all costs. Yes. Zhao Gao, who followed behind Yingzheng like a shadow, responded respectfully and looked up with a cold gaze. Daming. The Forbidden City. The young Emperor Zhu Hozhao and the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty were both stunned and looked at the scroll in the sky in disbelief. For a long time, Zhu Hozhao just regained his senses and looked at a middle-aged man in the hall with a dignified demeanor and wearing a python robe, his face full of shock. Uncle Huang, do you know what's going on? Report to the Emperor. I know nothing about this matter, the middle-aged man pondered. Zhu Hozhao frowned slightly and then looked at the others. All the civil and military officials in the Manchu dynasty lowered their heads and remained silent. Even the Iron Gallbladder god Marquis who established the Dragon Protection Villa is unclear about what the Heavenly Way list is, let alone them. Zhu Hozhao was greatly displeased, and there was no one in the civil and military affairs of the entire court to answer. But at this moment, a sharp laugh rang out. He. Your Majesty, congratulations. A man dressed in eunuch attire, with silver hair all over his head, had a rosy face with a strong smile. Zhu Hozhao was taken aback and became interested. Chao Jingchun, can you tell me what kind of happiness you have? Not long after the emperor ascended the throne, the Heavenly Way bestowed this auspicious sign, clearly indicating the recognition of the emperor by heaven. The emperor is not inferior to being the son of the Ming dynasty. The Ming dynasty, will surely prosper and enjoy peace forever. In addition, if these world-renowned powerhouses on the list can be recruited and loyal to the emperor, it will definitely enhance the strength of our Ming dynasty. Chao Jingchun raised his orchid finger, and when he said these words, he occasionally looked at Zhu and ignored him, his face full of pride. Humph. The castrated dog speaks recklessly and turns yellow. Zhu ignored and snorted coldly in his heart, his gaze towards the little emperor flashed with a hint of contempt. This little emperor's academic and martial arts skills are far inferior to his. Since ascending the throne, the court has been in a state of chaos, seeking pleasure. If it weren't for him maintaining it, the Ming dynasty would have been in turmoil for a long time. If it weren't for the untimely moment, he would have taken over. Haha, that's great. Zhu Hozhao was flattered and in a great mood, and immediately ordered. I'll leave this matter to you. Thank you very much, Your Majesty. Chao Jingchun quickly expressed his gratitude. The emergence of the Heavenly Way list has caused great turmoil in major dynasties. Meanwhile, martial arts practitioners were greatly excited while being shocked. Those who can make it to the peerless list must be the powerful ones in the Qingshu land and the majestic universe. I just don't know who can be recognized by the Heavenly Way and make it to the world rankings. 5 Wonders of the Southern Song Dynasty, Song Ke of the Heavenly Way, Shizixuan of the Evil King, Demon Master Pang Ban, Great Hero Gucheng. Many world-renowned experts are waiting for who can make it to the Heavenly Way list. Wudang Mountain. In a quiet valley, sits an elegant estate. Heavenly Way list. Su Li murmured to herself, but there was not much shock. After all, there are not many facts that can shock him even after experiencing time travel. He was originally from a water-blue planet, but one day when he woke up, he came to this world and became a disciple of Zhang Sanfeng. After learning that I have traveled to the world of martial arts. Su Li's mood was somewhat stirring and uplifting. After all, who is young and has never longed for the magnificent world without laziness? Who doesn't want to be dressed in fresh clothes and angry, wielding a sword and riding a horse to the ends of the world? And with a deeper understanding of the world. Su Li was also surprised to find that this was not an ordinary martial arts world, but a fusion of various martial arts masters from previous lives, a comprehensive martial arts world. This world is called Qingshu. Many dynasties, such as the Great Qin, Great Han, Great Ming, Great Yuan, and Northern and Southern Song, were established side by side. There are also some small countries, as numerous as a cow's hair. Secondly, there are countless sectarian forces. For Great Gates, Cihang Jingzhai, Jingyan Zen Temple, Wudang Shaolin, Sun and Moon Divine Sect, 8 major schools, Wushuang City, Tianxia Hui. Throughout the entire martial arts world, terrifying sects and forces have stood on the land of Qingshu for hundreds or even thousands of years. Even some powerful forces have infiltrated the temples, intervening in the court and influencing imperial power. Perhaps it is the reason why many martial arts worlds overlap. The direction of this world has undergone some changes in his cognition. For example, the Zhang Zuishan couple did not commit suicide. When the 5 major factions came to inquire about Xie Sun's whereabouts, Zhang Sanfeng used super strong force to intimidate the heroes. The 5 major sects had no choice but to descend the mountain in a disheveled manner, without even the courage to take action. Although there is some deviation from memory, in Su Li's opinion, this is normal. Zhang Sanfeng, as a martial arts mythological figure, killed countless enemies in his youth and shook the land of the 9 provinces. How could it be possible to sit idly by and watch a group of wine bags and rice bags from the 5 major sects, forcing one's beloved followers to death? This magnificent world has captivated Su Fei, who is eager to compete with Yuanqiao. As a traveler, he also successfully awakened the system. Zhutian projection system. Simply put, it means projecting one's own divine thoughts into the heavenly worlds, and synchronously feeding back one's cultivation to one's own self. These heavenly worlds can be set by themselves. Su Li naturally sets up a fantasy world and incorporates fantasy novels she has read in her past life. After all, even high martial arts have limited combat power in the world of comprehensive martial arts. But the fantasy world is different, often burning the sky and boiling the sea, destroying mountains, and destroying the world. It was precisely through the system that Su Li's cultivation rose rapidly. 10 years ago, he was able to fly with a sword and cut off the river with one strike. Now, he doesn't understand what realm he has reached. Perhaps we have reached the top of the Qingshu world. However, he did not become arrogant because of this. No one can guarantee that there will be no more powerful existence in this world. Originally, Su Li wanted to go down the mountain for a trip 10 years ago. Coincidentally, Master Zhang Sanfeng wanted to shut down and let him take charge of Wudang Mountain, so Su Li had to sit in the mountains. And in these 10 years, he also casually guided the 7 heroes of Wudang, Zhang Wuji, Song Qingshu and others to cultivate, which is not lonely. The appearance of the Heavenly Way list has sparked his interest. He also wants to see the charm of the world's heroes. His gaze cast upon the sky. Coincidentally, the Heavenly Way list has also undergone changes at this time. Ranked 30th on the Gaishi list. Name: Dongfang Bubi. Realm: 8 Great Masters. Martial Arts: Sunflower Classic. Identity: Leader of the Sun-Moon Divine Sect. Reward: 1 chance to practice the Great Nirvana Sutra and the Heavenly Way. Chapter 3. In the midst of chatting and laughing about Huangtu's domineering career, one's life is unbeatable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. In the midst of chatting and laughing about Huangtu's domineering career, one's life is full of drunkenness. Qingshu Land. Whether it is a martial artist or a member of the imperial court, when the golden scroll appears as the first ranking, everyone opened their eyes wide and stared closely at the content above. And after they saw the name and realm in the scroll, everyone was stunned. Asia the Invincible. But the demon who kills without blinking an eye. Besides the leader of the Sun and Moon Divine Sect who defeated countless heroes, who else dares to claim to be the Invincible East. Dongfang Bubi, with the cultivation of the Great Master Gucheng, can only rank 30th. Qingshu was instantly in an uproar, and countless martial arts practitioners were shocked. The 4 words, Dongfang Bubi, are like thunder piercing through one's ears. In the martial arts world, it is like a taboo, and anyone who hears it will turn pale. There is no other reason. In just a few years, Dongfang Bubi seized the power of the Sun-Moon Divine Sect and rose strongly. My martial arts skills are superb, like ghosts and monsters. The 5 Sacred Sword Sect, which once boasted of righteousness, joined forces to eliminate the deep friendship between the sun and the moon, but was defeated by Dongfang Bubi and left behind their armor. After this battle, no one dares to step into the sun and moon cult for half a step. Until now. Everyone just realized that Dongfang Bubi actually possesses the cultivation of the Great Master Gucheng. Although Qingshu is vast, there are many warriors like the officials crossing the river. There are not many great masters, enough to establish sects and suppress one side. What everyone didn't expect was that the powerful Dongfang Invincible only ranked 30th. What kind of strong person is that one in the top 20 and 10? Grandmaster 8, only ranked 30th. Zhang Sanfeng looked at the Heavenly Way scroll and was amazed in his heart. As a martial arts mythological figure, he naturally has a clear understanding of the current situation in the Qingshu rivers and lakes. Those who can become great masters are unparalleled martial arts talents. Those who can become great masters, the entire Qingshu Emperor is only 2 or 3 to 10 people. Even the talented Wudang 7 heroes find it extremely difficult to become a great master. Only Su Li has the opportunity to become a great master. And above the great master, there are heaven and man. The so-called harmony between heaven and humanity refers to the unity of heaven and humanity, breaking free from their own constraints and absorbing energy that is free between heaven and earth. Instantly, it triggers celestial anomalies. As far as he knows, there are only a dozen or so powerful beings in the realm of heaven and humanity, including those within the realm of unknown life and death. And 10 years ago, he was already standing at the top of the 9 provinces, known as the myth of the martial arts world. But if we follow this calculation, are all the top-ranked people land immortals? The thought immediately startled Zhang Sanfeng. He only took half a step and felt like he had exhausted his lifelong efforts. Surprisingly, someone can become a land deity again after Emperor Yu. Isn't it an old monster that has survived for hundreds of years? Despite experiencing strong winds and waves, Zhang Sanfeng couldn't help but feel restless and unable to calm down for a long time. At this moment, he couldn't wait to know who had become the land god. The imperial palace of the southern Song dynasty. In the imperial dining room, a ragged old beggar with silver hair lay on the beam of the house. While gnawing on the roasted chicken and drinking the tribute wine, it's really satisfying. From time to time, I also sigh with 2 words. Lao Jiaohua has been practicing for a lifetime, and he is only the 7th level master. As a young generation, Dongfang Bubi has already surpassed Lao Jiaohua. It's truly terrifying for the younger generation. Although he felt inferior, he didn't take it seriously. After finishing the roasted chicken, he happily took a few sips of wine. After drinking and eating, he slept soundly on the beam of the house. And in the royal library not far from the imperial kitchen. Sunflower Encyclopedia. It seems to have been created by the sunflower ancestor during the Ming dynasty. A eunuch's created technique must have extremely strong yin energy. If you want to cultivate it, you will have to pay a price. A man with an elegant appearance, holding a scroll of Taoist scriptures, looked out at the sky and couldn't help but joke. And beside him, there are also many Taoist classics piled up. The Great Sun Nirvana Sutra, which is rewarded by the Heavenly Way, must be grand and masculine. Perhaps it can compensate for the deficiency of excessive yin energy in the sunflower scripture. Solitary yin does not grow and solitary yang does not grow. The 9 yin manual I created also emphasizes the softness of Taoism. If you can take a look at the Great Nirvana Sutra, you can achieve the combination of yin and yang. Xianyang Palace. Ingzheng looked back at him and said, "Zhao Gao, do you know that the East is undefeated?" He doesn't care about the ranking of these experts. Except for the land immortals, even the strongest experts will be shattered under the iron cavalry of the empire. But the Heavenly Way reward made Ingzheng's heart race. The chance to deduce the Heavenly Way. Can we deduce the whereabouts of the elixir of immortality? To report to your majesty, Dongfang Bubi is the leader of the Sun and Moon divine cult, belonging to the people of the Ming dynasty. Daming. A cold light flashed through Ingzheng's eyes and he sneered, "Even if Xu Yuanzhang is alive, I don't take him seriously. Besides, the current emperor of Ming is just a waste. I order you to bring back Dongfang Bubi as soon as possible. Marquis and Prime Minister, ranked as Shangqing, give whatever he wants. I obey the order." Zhao Gao accepted the order. On his forehead, he was sweating profusely. Dongfang Bubi, such a strong person, may face numerous difficulties in bringing them back to Xianyang. But if he dares to respond with a no, his head will definitely land first. Shihu Meizhuang. Underground Prison. Asia the Invincible. You despicable little person. Let me roar wildly. He was pierced by an iron hook through the bones of the pipa, already as thin as a stick, but the thick internal force shook the dungeon and stirred the smoke and dust. Although he cannot see the outside world, he can sense the Heavenly Way list. So after learning that Dongfang Bubi was on the list, he suddenly became furious. But soon, he burst out laughing again, his expression going crazy. "Ha ha ha, Asia the Invincible, you're both male and female. Even if you unify the sun and moon divine cult, even if you cultivate to heaven and humanity, you are not a man. I don't know if this Asia the Invincible is actually a man or a woman. Su Li looked at the Heavenly Way list with a hint of thought-provoking smile on her lips. The Sunflower Classic can greatly enhance the practitioner's skills and make them a top expert in a short period of time. But to practice divine skills, one must first go to the palace. This is not gritting one's teeth, it's a matter of 1 inch and 2 inches. However, Su Fei remembers that some versions of Dongfang Bubi are not men, but women disguised as men. As a woman, practicing the Sunflower Classic naturally does not require self-cultivation. If Dongfang Bubi in Qingshu is a man, I have to say, he's a ruthless person. At this moment of emotion, 2 streams of light flew out of the golden scroll, like shooting stars piercing through the sky. Countless people in the martial arts world are all eye-catching, that's a heavenly reward. The Sun and Moon Cult. Dongfang Bubi, dressed in red, stood at the top of the black cliff. The cold mountain wind blows, and clothes and hunting make a sound. She looked at her name on the list from afar, but there was no joy at all. On the contrary, with a gloomy expression, he picked up a wine jug and raised his snow-white neck. I don't know if it was the strong alcohol that choked her throat, or if the past had stirred up memories for her. At this moment, Dongfang Bubi's eyes were filled with sparkling tears. The world's ups and downs have emerged from our generation, and as soon as we enter the martial arts world, time will rush. In the chat and laughter of Emperor Tu's domineering career, he won't be able to get drunk in the world. Chapter 4. Bombardment of Blackwood Cliff. Kill Dongfang for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Bombardment of Blackwood Cliff. Kill Dongfang Bubi for me. People only know that she is a ruthless female demon who kills without blinking an eye. For the sake of power, I will do whatever it takes to even kill the previous leader and let me do it. But she didn't know that everything she did was not for herself. Just to find my long-lost sister. That is the only warm place in her cold heart. More than 20 years ago. Dongfang Bubi is still a little girl with a compound surname Dongfang and a single name with a white character. That year, my hometown was hit by a drought, with thousands of miles of barren land, people displaced, and bandits rampant. My parents, along with her younger brother and sister, fled together with a total of 5 people. On the way to escape, robbers arrived. My younger sister accidentally fell due to her young age. When Dongfang Bai helped up his fallen sister, he found that his parents had already taken his younger brother and fled in a carriage because they were afraid of being chased by bandits. She and her sister were left in place. As a last resort, Dongfang Bai had to hide with his sister and finally got rid of the robbers. The two of them rely on each other for survival, searching for food during the day, and once they find it, one person in half. Sometimes, she finds food, but her sister doesn't. Dongfang Bai gave everything to his younger sister, but she refused to eat. Only when she takes a bite, will her sister be willing to take one. So, the two of them slept outdoors for a long time, although it was difficult, she still had a younger sister. However, the good times did not last long. Not long after, the robbers caught up. Unable to do anything, Dongfang Bai had no choice but to hide his sister and go out to attract the robbers outside. After she guides the robber away, she will go back to find her sister. But he found out that his sister had disappeared. From then on, she was the only one left in the world, living alone. She has to live, not because she is afraid of death, but because she wants to find her sister. My younger sister is afraid of the dark and timid. She dare not speak in front of strangers. What would she do without her? But at that time, she was just a thin and weak girl, not to mention finding a younger sister, even surviving was a problem. Sure enough. Not long after, she encountered a thief again. This time her luck was not good and she did not successfully escape. just as she was about to be arrested. A master appeared and killed all these bandits in an instant. The ground was covered in blood, but the tall man's clothes were very neat. The expert said to her, "If you want to live in this world, you must be more ruthless than others. All those who threaten you must be killed first." She nodded heavily as she was young. She disguised herself as a man and followed this expert to the Sun and Moon Divine sect, becoming an ordinary disciple. There are many homeless children like her in the Sun and Moon cult, and only the few who constantly fight and ultimately win can stay in the cult. Her talent is not very good, but she always remembers the words of that expert and must be more ruthless than others. So, she grabbed her sword for the first time, killed the first person, and from then on, she became uncontrollable. Her heart also became numb and cold with the killing day by day. But I never forgot to find my sister. Dongfang was well aware that she was lucky enough to stand out at this moment, but she was just a puppet of the Sun and Moon cult. To find a younger sister, one must have power and strong cultivation. So, she climbed up step by step and became the helmsman, hall leader, elder, and vice leader. And, I also came into contact with the secret of the Sun and Moon cult, the Sunflower Encyclopedia. After practicing the sunflower scripture, her cultivation progressed rapidly. Even the previous leader Ren Wuxing is not her match. She will defeat Ren Wuxing and be imprisoned in the West Lake dungeon, unifying the Sun and Moon divine cult. From then on, she changed her name to Dongfang Bubi. Sunrise in the east, only I am unbeaten. Power is in my hands, I have it in the world. But she is not interested in the world or the power. What she always wants is to find her sister. But she launched a search for the Sun and Moon cult, almost overturning the Ming dynasty. But there was never any whereabouts. "Sister, where are you?" Dongfang Bubi drank the liquor heavily, but his heart gradually became cold. But at this moment, two golden streams of light pierced through the sky and entered her body. The Great Nirvana Sutra. One chance to deduce the heavenly way. Dongfang Bubi's whole body trembled and he was stunned for a moment. Soon, ecstasy appeared on his stunning face. Although the Sunflower Classic has improved her cultivation, it has also brought serious consequences. Cold genuine qi runs through the tendons and meridians, sometimes like a needle piercing, causing unbearable pain. At first, it only occurred once in a few months, but now it occurs several times a day. The Nirvana Sutra of the Great Sun, a technique that far surpasses the sunflower canon, is truly powerful and masculine, like a brilliant sun. Not only can it solve one's own problems, but it can also promote the balance of yin and yang in the body, leading to a breakthrough in cultivation. Perhaps there is a chance to surpass heaven and humanity as a result. However, what really excites her is that there is a chance to deduce the heavenly way. She can deduce all things in the world. The treasure of the former dynasty, the top-notch martial arts in the world, and even the elixir of immortality that emperors have mastered throughout history, the future of the Sun and Moon divine cult, but none of these are what she wants. "Sister, we'll meet soon." In the wind, Dongfang Bubi smiled brightly. "Without hesitation, use this precious opportunity to deduce the whereabouts of my sister." There was never a moment when she was as happy as now. Huashan. Sunflower Encyclopedia, Asia Invincible. Yu Buchuan's gaze narrowed slightly, with an excited expression in his eyes. The Sunflower Classic and the Demon Repeating Sword technique share the same origin and have no significant difference. By practicing the Sunflower Classic, Dongfang Bubi can become a great master in just a few years. If he practices the Demon Repeating Sword technique, he can definitely become a great master. He gritted his teeth and showed his ruthlessness. "Tonight, I will practice the Demon Repeating Sword technique. Everything is for Huashan." Humph, how could even an undefeated Eastern team make it onto the list? Daming Palace. Zhu Hozhao's dragon face was furious, and his palm slammed against the armrest of the dragon chair. The Sun and Moon cult is within the territory of the Ming dynasty, but it is against the government and rebellious against the court. The court sent troops several times to besiege and suppress, but they all returned defeated. The fact that Dongfang Bubi is on the list is to show disrespect to the court. Chao Jingchun. I order you to lead the troops of the East Factory and destroy the Sun and Moon cult. I comply with the order, but please grant me an item from your majesty. What is it? Zhu Hozhao frowned. Red cannon. Although the Ming dynasty's national strength was weaker than other dynasties, it was far superior in terms of firearms. The red-clad cannon is capable of blasting mountains and breaking rocks, shattering mountains and rivers. Unless one is a strong person in the realm of heaven and humanity, there is no possibility of being spared under the red cannon. Although my cultivation level may not be as good as that of Dongfang Bubi, with the help of red-clad cannons, I will be able to annihilate them in one fell swoop. Chao Jingchuan's expression was uplifted and he was already a bit impatient. The reason why he is so active is not only to compete for power, but also for the sunflower treasure. Accurate Zhu ignored it and a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Truly foolish. If we could successfully encircle and suppress with just a few red-clad cannons, the Sun and Moon cult would not still exist today. Moreover, if Dongfang Bubi receives the Heavenly Way reward, his strength will inevitably improve again. Chao Jingchun is afraid that he may have a fate to go, but not necessarily a fate to return. Chapter 5. Yang Guo on the list. At the sight of Yang Guo, he missed his entire life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Yang Guo is on the list. At the sight of Yang Guo, he missed his entire life. Above the sky, there is once again a change in the Qingshu world ranking. 29th on the Gaishi list, name. Yang Guo. Realm. Great Master Jiuchong. Martial Arts. Jade Heart Sutra, Chuanjian Mind Skill, Toad Skill, Finger Flick, Dog Beating Staff, the 9 Yin Manual, Missing, Heavy Sword Technique, Sorrow Palm. Identity. Disciple of the Ancient Tomb Sect. Divine Eagle Hero. Rewards. Dark Sword Decision, Returning to the Source and Detoxifying Pill. Yang Guo. Upon seeing the names on the gold list, Su Li's mind immediately conjured up a handsome and ordinary face. At the sight of Yang Guo, he missed his entire life. In terms of beauty confidence, Yang Guo is definitely not inferior to the bandit commander Chu Liuxiang. However, the world envies Yang Guo, but does not know that Yang Guo has suffered throughout his life. His father Yang Kong, who was greedy for power, admired vanity, and resorted to all means, ultimately resulting in retribution in his death in the hands of Huang Rong. Young Yang Guo has been lonely since childhood, wandering the Jiangnan region, sneaking around and struggling to survive. I finally met Gucheng, but was rejected by Huang Rong and almost suffocated to death by the brothers De Wu and Xiao Wu. Gucheng had no choice but to send him to the Chuanjian sect to practice martial arts, but was bullied by Zhao Zijing. Not only did he not teach him martial arts, but he also insulted him. Yang Guo had no choice but to escape, but by chance he entered the tomb of the living dead and became a disciple of Little Dragon Girl. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. Li Macho came to the ancient tomb to provoke, and Yang Guo and Xiao Longnu were forced to flee the tomb, causing them to be separated. Yang Guo wandered the rivers and lakes, and later met Xiaolongnu. The two wanted to get married, but were dissuaded by Huang Rong and Gucheng. Xiaolongnu left with a gloomy expression, and Yang Guo's arm was cut off by Guofu. Fortunately, being saved by the divine eagle, we have obtained the inheritance of sword demon seeking defeat alone. Practicing the art of heavy swords, breaking mountains, greatly increasing internal power. Unfortunately, fate played tricks on people. Yang Guo and Xiao Longnu were poisoned by love flowers, and they were separated for more than 16 years. 16 years later. Yang Guo met little dragon girl again, and from then on, the two of them lived in seclusion in the tomb of the living dead. The young man who used to have a jade crown on his face has gone through many vicissitudes, and his temples are grayish-white. Guiyuan detoxification pill. Unfortunately, it's not an elixir of immortality. Seeing the reward displayed by the Heavenly Way, Yingzheng couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. Uncle Huang, do you know who Yang Guo, the great eagle hero, is? Zhu Ho looked at Zhu and ignored him. The Dragon Protection Villa, which Zhu ignored, was the largest intelligence agency in the entire Ming dynasty, far superior to the East and West factories and the Genie Guard. Yang Guo is from the Southern Song dynasty. This person is a rare martial arts genius. No matter what kind of martial arts he is, he can learn it in a few days. Afterwards, he realized that his learning was mixed and varied. He practiced swordsmanship in the Sea of Anger for 16 years, wielding his sword every day to break the waves, and his swordsmanship reached a state of complete mastery as he pleased. He also created the despicable Soul Palm, and used it to kill the great Yuan master, the Golden Will Dharma king. And helped the Southern Song dynasty resist the Yuan dynasty, defend Xianyang city, and kill many Yuan soldiers. Zhu ignored the contemplation. I didn't expect such a hero to exist in a weak dynasty like the Southern Song dynasty. Zhu Hozhao's eyes lit up and he excitedly said. If this person can be used by me, he will surely add wings like a tiger. Even you deserve it. Zhu ignored a cold snort and a hint of mockery flashed through his narrow eyes. De Yuan. The magnificent temple stands on the top of the snowy mountains, enduring countless frost and ice. This is a holy land in the hearts of countless people of the Yuan dynasty. Because there is a living Buddha named Ba Si Ba enshrined in the temple, who has been conferred the title of Great Yuan National Teacher. In the magnificent temple, Ba Si Ba, dressed in a red monk's robe, sat in a folded posture with furrowed brows. He is over 100 years old, but he is like a teenager, with a youthful face and sparkling skin, radiating with radiance. In front of him stood a tall monk with respect. Master, it's Yang Guo who killed Brother Jinluan. Please let the disciples take action, they will definitely be able to kill Yang Guo. Qimo Ji's gaze was fierce and at the same time extremely arrogant. His little wuxiang skill has been fully cultivated, and he also possesses various unique skills such as the flame blade. Confident, kill Yang Guo. Ba Siba's expression was calm, and he opened his eyes. His deep eyes were like a lake. After looking at Zhou Maji, he shook his head and said. You are not Yang Guo's opponent. I perceive it through the use of spiritual secrets. Although this person is a great master, with both his enchanting palms, he is capable of fighting against heaven and humanity. How could this be possible? Can the great master fight against heaven and humanity? Qimo Ji was stunned and his face was full of disbelief. Obviously shocked to the extreme. There is nothing impossible in this world. Ba Siba shook his head and sighed, then closed his eyes again. As one of the top heavenly and human experts in the Yuan dynasty, he can be said to stand at the pinnacle of the Qingshu world. But who would have thought that he had been easily defeated by one person? And he didn't even see a figure. From then on, he sat on the snowy mountain and never stepped into the rivers and lakes. Southern Song Dynasty. Xianyang City. Ronger, look at it. It's on the list soon. Gucheng looked at the Heavenly Way list with an uncontrollable excitement on his face. Gui'er truly deserves to be a godsend. Huang Rong was also filled with emotion, and then glanced at Guo Fu and Guo Pulu beside her, with a resentful expression on her face. If only you two could have more than half the potential. Mother. Guo Fu was dissatisfied. In fact, seeing Yang Guo's name, her heart was also filled with mixed emotions. She married Yao Yuqi, but Yao Yuqi defected to the Yuan dynasty several years ago. Now, she is alone in mid-year, but still a natural warrior. And Yang Guo not only possessed unparalleled martial arts skills, but also became a great master and a legendary hero, admired by the people of the southern Song dynasty. Guo Fu couldn't help feeling remorse in her heart, but she also recalled all the things she had done with Yang Guo in the past. Perhaps, if it weren't for her stubbornness. Perhaps she is the one who accompanies Yang Guo, right? It's brother Yang. Jiangnan, Lujiazwang. Two beautiful women looked at the names on the sky and spoke in unison. Both of them wore bright smiles on their faces, as if they had seen some big happy event. Even tears streamed in the eyes. These two women. A person named Chening. A person named Lu Wushuang. Mountain. A female nun stands on the cliff. She is no longer young, with a delicate face adorned with shallow wrinkles, but still exudes a charming appearance. Her name is Guxiang, the founder of a Mei sect. Guxiang looked at the large characters on the sky, evoking memories of the past, and his furrowed eyebrows slowly unfolded. Big brother. Guxiang murmured softly. She spent her whole life searching for someone's footsteps. I have crossed mountains and rivers, and traveled countless miles. She never found the person she was thinking of. Finally, exhausted, he arrived at Mountain, shaved his head and became a monk. From then on, the green lamp often accompanied the ancient Buddha. Why did she choose Ame after all the mountains and rivers? Because of the clouds and rosy clouds on Mount Ame. It's like the fireworks set off for her when she was 16 years old. Chapter 6. Tomb of the Living Dead at the foot of Zhongnan Mountain. Divine Eagle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. At the foot of Mount Zhongnan, a tomb of the living dead. Divine Eagle heroes, extinct in the martial arts world. Zhongnan Mountain. Qingshu religion. Inside the main hall, Qingshu Chizi sat cross-legged on a futon, looking very depressed. Can you not be depressed? Qingshu sect, Shaolin and Wudang were once regarded as the great masters of Wulin. But with the passing of his ancestor Wang Chongyang. From then on, Qingshu sect plummeted and was no longer the same as before. The disciples under our sect are of varying qualities and cannot be used to great extent. Even though the 7 of them have obtained the true biography of Wang Chongyang, they have never been able to become true top-notch experts. Qiu Chuji, who has the highest level of martial arts proficiency, is still only a 5th-level master. Grandmaster Wuzhong is just ordinary in the vast Qingshu region. The vast Qingshu sect now has only one master sitting in its seat, and speaking it out is laughable. Now, on the Qingshu world rankings, I can see the name Yang Guo. The 7 sons of Qingshu were all a bit embarrassed and ashamed. At first, Yang Guo was a disciple of the Qingshu sect. Unfortunately, due to Yang Kang's reasons, none of them took Yang Guo seriously, and Jian led to Yang Guo's defection. Otherwise, there will definitely be a place for Qingshu sect on today's gold list. Qingshu sect can also revive its reputation. Sigh. Sighs kept coming and going. A tomb of the living dead. Under the swing frame, a one-armed man with white temples cuddled up with a woman in white. The man has a handsome and majestic appearance, with 2 sword eyebrows slanting into his temples and a deep gaze. Although he looks very weathered, he still has extraordinary charm. It can be imagined the charm of youth. And the woman beside him was even more picturesque, with an ethereal temperament, like a fairy in a painting. Time has not changed her appearance. However, on her cold and beautiful face, there was a hint of deathly ash. Guo, if I die, promise me to leave the ancient tomb. Xiaolongnu snuggled up in Yang Guo's arms. Her voice was calm, and life and death could no longer move her. She just wanted to be quietly in Guo's arms until the end of her life. Back then, both she and Yang Guo were infected with love flower poison. But there is only one herb left for detoxifying the intestines. Under her deception, Yang Guo took the heartbreaking grass. And she went to the bottom of the Love Flower Valley without telling Yang Guo, waiting alone for the arrival of death. But within 16 years, she drank honey and consumed white fish in the cold pond. Surprisingly, it miraculously suppressed the love flower poison in the body. 16 years later, the love flower poison no longer broke out, and she thought she had recovered. Yang Guo also found her again. The two returned to the tomb of the living dead with joy and retired, never to be born again. But the good times didn't last long, and the love poison in her body erupted again. After 16 years of accumulation, medicinal stones are useless and there is no medicine to cure them. Over the past decade, Yang Guo has relied solely on his pure internal strength to sustain her life. Otherwise, with Yang Guo's talent, he would have already developed a strong and refined internal power. I have already stepped into the realm of heaven and humanity. Upon hearing Xiaolongnu's words, Yang Guo's gaze darkened, but he forced a cheerful smile and said, "What stupid words are you saying?" He tightly hugged little dragon girl. "There will definitely be a way. Longer, you are my wife Yang Guo, and heaven cannot accept your life." Yang Guo's eyes were red and bloodshot everywhere. Although he lived in seclusion in the tomb of the living dead, he did not lose contact with the outside world. His subordinates are still in Qingshu, searching for the antidote for little dragon girl. The two of them cuddled under the swing frame, quiet like a painting. The heavenly Dao list in the sky did not attract the attention of the two. However, at this moment, Xiaolongnu's remaining light accidentally caught a glimpse of Yang Guo's name on the list. "Guo, your name is on the Gaishi list. What about being on the list? Being in the limelight is not what I want. My lifelong wish is to stay with Longer forever." Yang Guo didn't care. "No, come on, look quickly," said little dragon girl urgently. Upon hearing that Xiaolongnu's tone was slightly off, Yang Guo then looked up at the sky. "It doesn't matter if you don't look at it." After Yang Guo saw the content on the list clearly, he was completely stunned. Immediately, like a madman, murmuring to himself, "Guiyuan detoxification pill. Guiyuan detoxification pill." He looked at Xiaolongnu, his face full of excitement and excitement. "Longer, you are saved. Ha ha ha, Longer, you have been saved. Within the territory of the southern Song dynasty. In a valley. I didn't expect someone to have acquired my AP technique." A tall woodcutter wearing a bamboo hat looked at the ultimate list and shook his head, saying, "Unfortunately, Yang Guo's knowledge is mixed. If he could focus on swordsmanship, his achievements may not be lower than mine. The top scorer in swordsmanship, unparalleled in sharpness, must have many skilled swordsmen who can make it to the top of the leaderboard." The woodcutter smiled and did not continue to observe, waving his firewood knife gently. I didn't see any movement from him, but with a click, a big tree in front of me, about the size of a bucket, snapped. But the port is very flat, smooth like a mirror. At this moment, the universal list above the sky changed once again. Ranked 28th on the Gaishi list. Name: Ximen Chuixue. Realm: the 9 peaks of the Great Master. Martial arts: snow-blowing divine sword, one sword coming from the west. Identity: Daming sword god, master of Wanmei manor. Rewards: the Liang dragon sparrow, demon flame flash sky slash. Daming sword god. The corner of the woodcutter's mouth curved. Even he dare not call himself the sword god, he only dares to call himself the sword demon. Ximen Chuixue is just a peak master, how can he be virtuous? If there are still people in the world who can deserve the word sword god. Only the man who came to step on the moon a few years ago. The woodcutter seemed to recall something, and his face gradually became solemn. The Dugujiujian, which he had been proud of all his life, was easily broken by this person who pointed it out as a sword. He still remembers clearly that finger was sharp and unmatched, with sword energy spanning tens of zhang. It seems like even the sky curtain can be cut open. Even now, he still finds it unbelievable. There is someone in the world with swordsmanship that can be so terrifying. Forget it, if you can't figure it out, why bother yourself? The woodcutter shook his head and smiled bitterly. Then he plunged into the deep mountains and continued to cut down trees. Mr. Gucheng, how do you think Ximen's blood-blowing and swordsmanship compare to yours? Zhang looked at the peerless list on the sky, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Beside him stood a tall and stern-looking man. He was wearing a white robe embroidered with ancient patterns and held a long sword in his hand. Seemingly standing casually, but also like standing in the best position of the entire palace. Once someone dares to assassinate Zhang, he can kill the assassin as quickly as possible. Sword Saint Gucheng, the ultimate master of swordsmanship. Zhang was curious about the swordsmanship of Gucheng and Ximen Chuixue, which one was stronger or weaker. After hearing Zhang's words, Gucheng slowly raised his eyes and immediately said in a deep voice. In terms of cultivation, this person is above Gucheng. Will swordsmanship, Gucheng's confidence is not weak compared to others. Gucheng's voice was very calm, but it carried unparalleled confidence. Chapter 7. Yi Gucheng. Am I not worthy of being on the list? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Yi Gucheng. Am I not worthy of being on the list? As soon as the sword god Ximen blows snow, the 9 provinces Jianghu is in an instant uproar. There are countless swordsmen in the world who are unwilling to be weaker than others. At this moment, Ximen Chuixue in Kendo surprisingly marked the word sword god, which made her very angry. What is the sword god? Champion the world in swordsmanship. How can people who practice swordsmanship in the world accept such things? Everyone is clamoring to compete with Ximen Chuixue in swordsmanship. However, no one dares to go to Wanmei Mountain Villa. After all, Ximen Chuixue is the pinnacle master. Looking at the rivers and lakes of Zhozhou, apart from the heavenly and human powerhouses, there is probably no one who can compete with Ximen Chuixue. Sword God. Xie Xiaofeng, who used to be the #1 divine sword in the world, now transforms into a useless Aji. After seeing the Heavenly Way list, I couldn't help but shake my head and smile. The affairs of the martial arts world and swordsmanship have nothing to do with him anymore. After murmuring to himself, like an old farmer in the countryside, he carried feces and water to irrigate the vegetable garden. Ximen Chuixue, we will eventually fight. The little sword demon Yen 13 stared closely at the Heavenly Way list, his gaze sharp like a sword, and his whole body was filled with a murderous aura, but his heart was filled with fear. He is a madman in swordsmanship, practicing 13 deadly swords. Not only did he create the 14th sword, but he even vaguely wanted to realize the 15th sword. This sword represents death and destruction. Even the strongest of heaven and humanity will fall under this sword. If it weren't for realizing the peerless sword technique and delaying one's own cultivation. How can there be no other name on the world's list? Dongting Lake. Looking up from afar. Another swordsman. Waves and clouds filled with great joy, pouring a mouthful of strong liquor. The wine spilled on his collar, and he ignored it completely, showing a man's boldness. The mighty rain sword of Qingshu was placed horizontally on the table. Kendo is not alone. Swordsmanship is not solitary. Within the territory of Daming. Within the mountains and forests hundreds of miles away from Blackwood Cliff. The 6 figures were running rapidly, their figures blurry, as fast as horses, like ghosts, and in the blink of an eye, they were able to sweep away miles of land. It is enough to show the terrifying skills of these 6 people. Although they are running wildly, they are always paying attention to the movements around them, and no wind or grass can escape their ears and eyes. With the replacement of the Heavenly Way Golden List, these 6 figures suddenly stopped. 4 men and 2 women, dressed strangely, and carrying a uniquely shaped long sword behind their backs. A murderous aura condensed-like substance overflowed from the 6 people, and all the crawling insects and ants within a radius of tens of zhang died. The mountains and forests are silent. These 6 people are the 6 sword slaves under Zhao Gao's command. Humph, how arrogant. Dare to call yourself the sword god. Wanshan sneered, his indifferent gaze filled with war intent. I really want to see if Ximen Chuixue truly lives up to its name. There are countless sword practitioners in the world, and he is also worthy of being a sword god. The 2 twin sisters, soul turning and soul extinguishing, have cold radiance in their mouths. Like a scorpion in the desert, but full of danger. Alright, hurry up. The purpose of this trip is to bring Dongfang booby back. Zhen Gang said in a deep voice. Huashan. Sigua Cliff. The elderly and young are looking at the list in the sky. Master Feng, is Ximen Chuixue's swordsmanship very powerful? How dare you claim to be the sword god? Linghu Chong pursed his lips. He is the eldest disciple of the Huashan sword sect, who has been practicing swordsmanship since childhood. At this moment, seeing someone claiming to be the sword god, I couldn't help but feel very unhappy. Ximen Chuixue is indeed an unparalleled talent in swordsmanship. His swordsmanship is unique and his murderous aura is awe-inspiring, emphasizing the principle of one hit must kill. Standing with a clear breeze, wearing a green shirt showcases a fairy-like demeanor. More than 10 years ago, I had a battle with Ximen Chuixue. He seemed to reminisce about the past, his old face filled with a solemn expression. Senior and Ximen Chuixue, who wins and who loses? Linghu Chang's eyes lit up. After a moment of silence, Feng Qingyang said, the outcome of that battle was not determined, but I am not as good as Ximen Chuixue. More than 10 years ago, Ximen Chuixue's swordsmanship was not yet fully developed, and he was dozens of years younger than me. I used the Dugu 9 swords, but it was only a draw. If it were an ordinary swordsman, under his sword intent, he probably wouldn't even have the courage to wield the sword. The wind is clear and the emotions are infinite, and the gaze projects a nostalgic tone. He has been famous for a long time and has been wandering the rivers and lakes for many years. Unexpectedly, even a younger generation could not defeat him when he retreated to the mountains and forests. However, the battle against Ximen Chuixue also benefited him a lot and is still vividly remembered today. What? Linghu Chong opened his eyes wide and licked his tongue incessantly. Thanking Yang, an old master, but he has seen the strongest expert with fierceness. The swordsmanship is even more extraordinary and sacred. Dugu Jiujian is capable of defeating all the heroes in the world. Senior Ku Feng Qingyang, surprisingly unable to surpass Ximen Chuixue. The pride in Linghu Chang's heart shattered instantly. He thought he was exceptionally talented in swordsmanship. Compared to Ximen Chuixue, she was simply killed to pieces in seconds. Baiyun City. Lord Yi Gucheng looked at the names on the gold list and furrowed his brows together. On Junyi's face, anger surged even more. A terrifying aura emanated from the whole body, making it difficult for the servants around to breathe. Even Ximen Chuixue is on the list, why am I not on the list? Yi Gucheng roared softly, and Junyi's face twisted a bit. He claims that no one in swordsmanship can surpass him by half. Even sent a letter of war to Ximen Chuixue. August 15th, full moon night. Battle the purple forbidden peak. But Ximen Chuixue surprisingly ignored it. Such a cowardly person can even make it to the world's top list. But he failed to make it to the gold list, how could Yi Gucheng bear it? Little did they know. The Heavenly Way gold list ranks purely based on strength. Realm does not fully represent strength. No, my ranking is definitely above these people. Yi Gucheng comforted himself, and the anger on his face gradually dissipated. But instead, it is a strong sense of pride. Congratulations, Ximen Chuixue. Lu Xiaofeng just brought 2 pots of good wine and arrived at Zhongnan Mountain Villa. I saw the name Ximen Chuixue displayed on the gold list. Lu Xiaofeng is also happy for this long-time friend. Ximen Chuixue stands in the plum orchard, dressed in white like snow, with a cold and stern face, like an ice sculpture. How joyful is it? Isn't it a great joy for you, a sword god, to be able to make it to the heavenly way list? Lu Xiaofeng wondered. Sword god. On Ximen Chuixue's cold and stern face, a thick bitterness appeared. Then, as if mocking himself, he said, I cannot bear the word sword god, Ximen Chuixue. When he said these words, his expression was even more desolate. Lu Xiaofeng was full of doubts. What happened today? Before he could even speak, Ximen Chuixue had already said. Sword. What is a sword? He looked up at the sky, sad and desolate. Immediately, he looked fiercely at Lu Xiaofeng. They say you're the smartest person in the world. Tell me, what is a sword? Lu Xiaofeng is in a daze. You sword god, ask me what a sword is. My special practice is like a sharp finger. Chapter 8. Ximen Chuixue. In front of him, You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Ximen Chuixue. In front of him, I don't even have a chance to draw a sword. Sword god. Ximen Chuixue's face was full of bitterness and she self-deprecatingly said. Half a year ago, I met someone. In front of him, I don't even have a chance to draw a sword. What? Lu Xiaofeng was suddenly startled. His eyes were wide and round, filled with a look of shock. This sentence seemed like a thunderbolt, leaving him with a blank mind. Nothing can shock him more than this sentence. If someone in front of Ximen Chuixue doesn't even have a chance to wield a sword, he will definitely believe it. Because Ximen Chuixue is undoubtedly the sword god. Ximen Chuixue learned swordsmanship at the age of 7, loved swordsmanship as much as her life, and regarded killing as art. In his youth, his swordsmanship was extremely exquisite. After killing someone, I like to blow off the blood on my sword, like a person returning at night shaking off the snowflakes on their body. This is also the origin of his name. Even if there are people whose cultivation surpasses that of Ximen Chuixue, there are very few who can surpass him in swordsmanship. Even if Ximen Chuixue is defeated by the opponent, she will never be unable to even draw her sword. What kind of irony is it for a person who is known as the god of sword to be unable to even draw their own sword? So, even if Lu Xiaofeng didn't want to believe it, she had to believe it at this moment. Ximen Chuixue can't joke about such a thing. Besides, this ice face doesn't even know how to joke. What exactly is going on? Lu Xiaofeng had a dry throat and struggled to ask this question. Ximen Chuixue looked at the sky and pondered for a long time before finally telling the truth. A night a few months ago. The full moon is in the sky, and the moonlight is like frost. Ximen Chuixue is practicing swordsmanship in Meizhuang as usual. A figure suddenly appeared, stepping on the void. In the night moon, like a fairy god. Ximen Chuixue was suddenly startled, but she didn't lose her composure. When this person appeared, he decisively explained his intention. I have always asked about the name of Ximen Chuixue, sword god. I came today and hope you will not hesitate to teach me. After Ximen Chuixue mastered her swordsmanship, she found it difficult to improve. My wish in my heart is to find an opponent. To break through the shackles of kendo. However. After the speaker finished speaking. Then burst out a towering sword intent. What kind of sword intent is that? The entire world was enveloped by this sword intent, sweeping across dozens of miles like a storm. Under the invisible sword intent, the earth was cut into countless grooves, even the moonlight was dimmed by it. And that person stood in the center of the sword storm, like a deity, overlooking Ximen Chuixue from a high position. Under this gaze, his sword-holding hand began to tremble. Without any courage, pull out the sword in your hand. He felt for the first time how insignificant his swordsmanship was. Even if the sword is drawn, it cannot shake the opponent's behemoth. Until the end, Ximen Chuixue never drew that sword. The other party was greatly disappointed and threw down a sentence, Ximen Chuixue, that's all. Only little master can be called the sword god in the world. You don't deserve it. After speaking these words, Ximen Chuixue seemed to have been drained of her strength and lost her spirit. Like a rusty sword, from then on it became dim and lifeless. He has been practicing swordsmanship for decades, yet he doesn't even have the courage to draw his sword. A sword heart is completely shattered. What's going on, junior uncle? Can it be an old monster that has survived for hundreds of years in a certain faction? Lu Xiaofeng's gaze turned, with a flicker of contemplation in her eyes. This kind of old monster's cultivation is so great that there's no need to fight Ximen Chuixue. What exactly is it for? He pondered for a while, but had no idea at all, so he simply didn't bother to think. Just preparing to comfort Ximen Chuixue. But at this moment, two golden streams of light, like shooting stars piercing through the sky, fell into the Zhongnan Mountain villa. A golden stream of light was suspended in Ximen Chuixue's hand, transforming into a sword box, inside which lay a sword. Another golden stream of light entered Ximen Chuixue's mind, forming a peerless sword technique. The Liang Dragon Sparrow. Demon Flame Flash Sky Slash. Ximen Chuixue trembled all over and stood still as if struck by lightning. At the same time, outside Blackwood Cliff, less than 5 miles away, the 6 swordsmen were flying through the mountains and forests, and their momentum had also climbed to the extreme, flawless. Slow down. Zhengnan suddenly stopped and raised his palm. The remaining people stopped one after another, somewhat surprised. Someone took a step ahead of us. Zhenggang said in a deep voice, his gaze bursting with a brilliant gleam, casting towards the distant foot of the mountain. Everyone followed his gaze. At the foot of the mountain, a group of people and horses wearing official Ming uniforms were rushing towards the Black Cliff. He's from the Ming dynasty. It seems that he's also heading towards Dongfang. Surprisingly, even the red-clad cannons have been deployed. This is a firearm that only the strong of heaven and humanity can resist. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Daming firearms are famous in Qingshu. Especially the red cannon, it is a terrifying weapon that the 6 swordsmen naturally wouldn't fail to recognize. What should we do? First, take down Dongfang, or... Don't worry. The praying mantis catches cicadas, and the yellow sparrow follows. Let's wait and see how it changes first. Zhenggang said in a deep voice, with a slight curve forming at the corner of his mouth. The best outcome would be that both the Ming army and Dongfang were defeated. In this way, they can reap the benefits of fishing. At the foot of the mountain, Lu Shi glanced at 10 red-clad cannons and swallowed his saliva secretly. Then, with a flattering compliment on his face, he said, "Sir, with these 10 red-clad cannons, even if they are strong in heaven and humanity, they may have to be captured without restraint. After the destruction of the Sun and Moon cult, the Lord will make great contributions. I believe that in the future, the Emperor will also rely more on the Lord. At that time, it's up to the adults' orders in the court. As a vassal of the Ming dynasty, it is our duty to serve the Emperor." Chao Jingchun sat on the horse and said a faint sentence, but his face was filled with an indescribable pride. After a moment, Chao Jingchun and others finally arrived at the foot of Haimu Cliff. Glancing contemptuously at the heavily guarded Blackwood Cliff, he shouted in a low voice. "Dongfang, our family has been ordered to eliminate the Sun and Moon cult. However, we can give you a chance. If you obediently offer the Sunflower Encyclopedia and are willing to work for our family from now on, you may not die." Injecting internal energy into the sound, it echoes like a great bell, echoing between heaven and earth. Even the surrounding mountains trembled. The Sunflower Encyclopedia is the true purpose of Chao Jingchun this time. Although he practices Tiangang Tongzi Gong and reaches the realm of a great master, he still has a considerable gap with Zhu Wuwu and Yu Huatian. The Sunflower Classic was created by the Sunflower ancestor over 100 years ago, and it will undoubtedly greatly enhance his martial arts skills. It's even possible to step into the realm of heaven and humanity. If you become a strong man in heaven and earth, turning your hand can suppress Zhu Wuwu and Yu Huatian. Is it still up to him to decide the fate of the Ming dynasty? Thinking of this, Chao Jingchun couldn't help but feel very proud. Blackwood Cliff. In the dense palace. Dongfang Bubi suddenly opened his eyes, with a sharp edge flashing in them. What a castrated dog, dare to come and seek death. Chapter 9. Shooting shells with bare hands, is this the great master? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Shooting shells with bare hands, is this the great master? Dongfang Bubi has already revealed the whereabouts of his younger sister. But the sunflower true qi, which is cold in the body, is becoming more and more frequent. In order to be safe, Dongfang Bubi had to first cultivate the Great Sun Nirvana Sutra. I didn't expect the court to come knocking at this moment. Fortunately, the Great Nirvana Sutra has given her first glimpse into the path. The intersection of yin and yang in the body allows for a more favorable breakthrough in cultivation. What a castrated dog, dare to come and seek death. Dongfang Bubi let out a cold shout, his figure instantly blurred and disappeared into place. But as a great master, she has strong and powerful internal strength. The rolling sound wave spread and exploded like thunder, shockingly shaking the hills. The eardrums of the soldiers of the Ming dynasty are about to crack, blood is flowing. Chao Jingchun was immediately furious, with a fierce look in his eyes. What a lifeless beast, toasting, not eating, and punishing. Someone, bombard Blackwood Cliff for me. Several officers and soldiers quickly set up red-clad cannons, with their black and stern muzzle like a wild beast opening its bloodthirsty jaws, ready to devour anyone. After loading the shells and igniting the fire, Chao Jingchun let out a sneer and said, Asia is unbeaten. Even if you have a great skill today, you cannot escape death. Is that so? A contemptuous voice came from the Blackwood Cliff. Everyone looked at it one after another. Dongfang Bubi, dressed in red, stood tall and looked down at the army of the Ming dynasty. His gaze was disdainful, revealing his dominance. The sun and moon cult will last for thousands of years. Master Dongfang, unify the world. Thousands of members of the Sun-Moon God sect are bowing and shouting loudly, their voices soaring into the sky. Unifying the Jianghu. Dream of your beauty. Chao Jingchun sneered and immediately ordered the firing of artillery. Boom. A deafening sound sounded. It's as if the heavens are angry and thunder punishment is falling. 10 red-clad cannons were fired in unison, carrying the power of destroying the sky and earth towards the Black Cliff. Dongfang Bubi frowned slightly. With his toes pointed to the ground, his body was like a ghost, leaping tens of zhang, and he even wanted to intercept those 10 shells. Fool! The shells of the red cannon contain a large amount of gunpowder, even a mountain can be flattened. Does the flesh and blood body also delude to block the red cannon? Chao Jingchun frowned and angrily rebuked. Originally, these 10 shells were just meant to deter Dongfang Bubi, so that Dongfang Bubi can be obediently captured. Who would have thought that Asia the Invincible would be so arrogant as to attempt to intercept the red cannon? If the Sunflower Encyclopedia were on Dongfang Bubi, wouldn't it have to be smashed into pieces together? Now Chao Jingchun can't be happy anymore. On the hill, the 6 swordsmen were lying in the forest, and upon seeing this scene, they couldn't help but shake their heads. The power of the red-clad cannon is unparalleled in terror. Except for the strong ones in the realm of heaven and humanity, they can withstand it. Even if the great master has unparalleled skills, they will be turned into powder under the red-clothed cannons. In their view, isn't Dongfang Bubi seeking his own death? If Dongfang Bubi dies, their mission will also fail, and the 6 swordsmen cannot help but become anxious. But in the next moment, the face of the 6 swordsmen suddenly turned extremely strange. As if seeing something incredible, my eyes were filled with shock. Just as the shells were about to hit Dongfang Invincible, a majestic aura burst out from her body, sweeping across the world and forming a thick wall of qi. The shell hit the air wall as if trapped in a quagmire and quickly stopped. Subsequently, Dongfang Bubi's soft and boneless palm lightly tapped on the shell. Like a glance at a fly, all 10 shells flew backwards in an instant. This. Qiao Jingchun was as stunned as if he had seen a ghost, his face full of shock. This is enough to flatten a mountain shell. Even martial arts experts who have recently entered heaven and earth dare not challenge themselves, they can only avoid their sharpness. The great master was hit by a red-clad cannon, and there is no doubt that he will die, with no chance of being spared. But now, Dongfang Bubi surprisingly flew the shells with his bare hands. Completely beyond everyone's expectations. Absurdly extreme. Qiao Jingchun didn't have time to think much, 10 shells had already been fired at them. If this were to be hit, he would undoubtedly die, and he was so scared that he quickly rode his horse and ran away. Boom boom. The shells hit the ground, creating countless deep pits, splashing soil, shaking the earth and mountains, and rolling smoke. A howl of sorrow filled the fields for a moment. The officers and soldiers of the Ming dynasty suffered heavy casualties, with limbs and broken arms scattered everywhere. Qiao Jingchun was trembling with fear and covered in cold sweat. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, a fierce force rushed from behind, no less than the recent shell. Qiao Jingchuan's face changed dramatically, and a sense of death crisis arose in his heart. Countless silver needles, with their sharp internal force, shot at him like a torrential rainstorm. Tiangang Tongzi Gong. Countless Dao Gang Qi burst out from Qiao Jingchuan's body, enveloping him. Zheng Zheng Zheng. The silver needle shot fiercely on Qiao Jingchuan's protective qi, emitting a sound of golden and iron strikes, and even burst out a burst of electric light. But fortunately, these silver needles are all blocked from protecting the body's vigorous energy. It's not easy to break through our family's protective spirit. Qiao Jingchun smiled proudly. Tiangang Tong Zigong has been practicing pure yang qi for decades. Few great masters can break through his defense. Dongfang Bubi's expression was on his face, and he casually threw a silver needle. This silver needle stirs with the extremely cold sunflower true energy, emitting a faint blue light, like a ghostly fire in the underworld. With a wave, the silver needle pierced through the protective energy of the body. Qiao Jingchuan's smile suddenly came to an end, and his face was filled with fear. He knows that the true qi of sunflowers has broken through the protective vigorous qi. The silver needle remained undiminished, piercing through his shoulder and causing his flesh to explode. Puff! A silver needle came crashing like a mountain, causing Qiao Jingchun to fly backwards and spray a few mouthfuls of blood. Fortunately, he had been practicing for many years and had rich experience. Before he could land, he endured his injuries, picked up a true qi, and quickly flew out. Humph, you're running fast. Dongfang Bubi let out a cold snort and didn't go chasing after him. It's not that she showed kindness, but that she has more important things to do. She needs to find her sister as soon as possible. If you delay for a long time at this time, there may be unexpected changes. At the same time, we must also cultivate the Great Nirvana Sutra to its fullest potential. This unparalleled skill rewarded by the heavenly way possesses incredible power. Although she is still a great master, she can mobilize some of the energy from heaven and earth. Unleash a power comparable to that of heaven and man. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to downplay it just now, just shoot 10 shells away. But before that, we still need to deal with some flies. Dongfang Bubi's gaze was slightly cold, and his body was like a burst of smoke, instantly disappearing into place. Within the mountains and forests, the 6 sword slaves were all in place, their eyes fixed, as if petrified. In a blink of an eye, clapped the shells away. Is it certain that Dongfang Bubi is not a heavenly and human powerhouse? Together, they can fight against the 8 great masters. But in front of the strong in heaven and earth, there is no strength to fight back. 6 people were in a state of uncertainty and uncertainty. Not good. I just changed my face and suddenly let out a roar. Behind the 6 swordsmen. At some point, a figure in red appeared. Countless cold rays have risen. Rainstorm like silver needles shot at them. P.S. Brothers, has anyone read this book? This data is really bad, it's really difficult for me to persist. As long as there is a reward. A flower. A review ticket. Little brother, I will immediately work hard for everyone. I kneel down and beg everyone for some data to give me some confidence. Chapter 10. Iron Gallbladder God Marquis Zhu ignores, my king's response to the great. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10:10. Marquis Zhu of the Iron Gallbladder God ignored me, and I am absolutely loyal to Daming. Daqing. Xianying Palace. Are you saying that the 6 swordsman army was completely destroyed? Yingzheng raised his 2 sword eyebrows. The already strict palace, as this sentence sounded, the temperature seemed to drop to freezing point. The sharp gaze and chilling chill made Zhao Gao tremble all over, and he immediately knelt down on the ground. In front of Yingzheng, who swept across the 6 countries, he felt a strong sense of oppression. Even breathing is suppressed. But at this moment, Zhao Gao could only silently complain. The 6 swordsmen are proficient in assassination techniques, and countless experts in the martial arts world have died under their swords. 6 people working together can better fight against the 8 great masters. As a result, they all died in the hands of Dongfang Bubi. Report to your majesty, the Ming dynasty has also sent people to besiege and suppress the eastern Invincible. Even at the cost of deploying 10 red-clad cannons, they were equally defeated. Zhao Gao gritted his head and said. A heavenly reward of 30 can give Dongfang Bubi such divine power. If it's in the top 20, what about the top 10? The elixir of immortality is imperative. A trace of fiery heat flashed through Yingzheng's eyes. At the same time, he also felt a bit regretful when he unified the 6 countries. The Great Qin Iron Cavalry has killed too many experts. Otherwise, on the Heavenly Way list, there would already be martial arts experts from the Great Qin dynasty. But this country must be firmly controlled by him. There must be no potential threat. Daming. The Forbidden City. After the end of the morning court, Zhu Hozhao and various civil and military officials are all waiting for the next person to make it to the list. At this moment, a rapid sound of footsteps echoed outside the Golden One Hall, followed by a mournful cry. Your Majesty. Zhu Hozhao and all the civil and military officials were puzzled. Why does this mournful cry sound so familiar? Everyone rushed towards the outside of the hall. Several eunuchs from the East Factory were carrying a stretcher, and Chao Jingchun, with a pale face, was lying on the stretcher. He was wrapped in bandages all over his body, and blood was constantly oozing from his shoulders. Chao Jingchun, what's wrong with you? Zhu Hozhao frowned. Your Majesty, I have been ordered to besiege the Sun and Moon divine cult and eradicate this rebel, Dongfang Bubi. But to everyone's surprise, Dongfang Invincible, his martial arts skills have advanced by leaps and bounds, even his red-clad cannons have been slapped away by him. Even his slaves have been injured by him. Please forgive me, the Emperor. The old slave should die the most. Qiao Jingquan's aura was as flowing as a thread, as if speaking a few more words would lead him completely to the west. In fact, although his injury is severe, he is still unaware of it. At this point, it's just a miserable sail. Alright, it's reasonable for Dongfang Bubi's Heavenly Way reward to achieve great skill improvement. Zhu Hozhao waved his hand. Although he was angry, he didn't say much when he saw Qiao Jingquan's dying face. Although he lacks great talent and strategy, he also knows that at this time, he must rely on both the east and west factories in order to restrain Emperor Zhu from ignoring. Impotence is incompetence. 10 red-clad cannons, none of them can kill Dongfang Invincible. Zhu ignored a cold snort and his face was full of mockery. Why do gods mock old slaves? If Shenhe encounters Dongfang Invincible, he may not be a match either. Qiao Jingquan gritted his teeth and said. After finally calming the anger of the little emperor, the iron gallbladder god Ho intervened. I have my own ideas, and I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Zhu ignored and snorted coldly. The entire Ming dynasty, with its numerous martial arts figures, is in his calculations. Dongfang Bubi will eventually fall into his hands. Qiao Jingquan was about to retort when suddenly a bright light shone outside the hall. New content has appeared on the Gaishi list. The crowd ignored the verbal battle between Qiao Jingquan and Zhu, and looked towards the sky one after another. 27th place on the Gaishi list. Name. Zhu ignores. Realm. Half-step heavenly man. Martial arts. Star-absorbing technique. Identity. Iron gallbladder god Marquis, Deming imperial clan. Reward. Dragon god's decision, 200 years of internal power. 200 years of internal strength. All the creatures in Qingshu have shaken. Although a warrior's strength is not entirely determined by their internal strength. But the stronger the inside, the stronger the martial arts. 200 years of internal strength is enough to intimidate all the heroes in the world. Zhu Hozhao was stunned for a moment, and a hint of fear flashed in his eyes. However, he still congratulated and said, Uncle Huang is truly the pillar of my Ming dynasty. I still need to rely more on Uncle Huang. Your Majesty, rest assured. I am absolutely loyal to Daming. Zhu ignored his expression and responded calmly. As a member of the royal family, he naturally remained loyal to the Ming dynasty. But for Zhu Hozhao, it's a different story. Zhu Hozhao didn't know if he could hear any implied meaning, but he smiled slightly at the corner of his mouth, but there was nothing wrong. Congratulations on being on the list. Shenhe is indeed a martial arts prodigy. Compared to not long ago, he will be able to enter heaven and humanity. Those who are strong in nature and human beings will prolong their lives for hundreds of years. If there is a god waiting for them, the Ming dynasty will be as stable as Mount Tai. The civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty congratulated and flattered one after another. Even the head of the West Factory, Yu Huatian, and the leader of the Genie Guard, Qing Long, closely followed the crowd. Seeing this scene, Qiao Jingquan's face changed dramatically and his heart was greatly depressed. He thought Zhu ignored him, at most half a point better than him. I didn't expect it to be a half-step heavenly person. Obtaining the Heavenly Dao reward again may not take long. The Ming royal family will have an additional true heavenly and human mighty one. Give him 10 lives, it's not enough for a strong man to kill him. Shoo! 2 golden streams of light flew into Zhu Ignorant's body. Zhu ignored the moment and was overjoyed. He didn't pay much attention to the 200-year-old skills that were envied by the world. Back then, he used the star-absorbing technique to absorb the internal power of the 8 major sects of experts, and had already accumulated hundreds of years of internal power. But it was never enough to break through the realm of heaven and humanity. So, having an extra 200 years of internal strength has no effect on him. What really excites him is the Dragon God's decision. The dragon god is capable of absorbing the heavenly dragon chi and cultivating the heavenly gang battle dragon body. The heavenly gang battle dragon body is impervious to knives and guns, and can withstand water and fire. It can also extend its lifespan by 500 years and be reborn after being amputated. It's simply tailor-made for him. However, to cultivate the dragon god's decision, one must become the true dragon emperor. Only then can the imperial dragon energy converge on oneself. Zhu ignored Zhu Hozhao on the dragon chair and a cold curve curved his lips. It's time for another day.